Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Systems and Workflow Magic podcast and YouTube channel. I am your host, Dolly DeLong, and today I have a really special guest and very unique topic that we're going to talk about. And yes, there is a systems spin to this. And yes, if you are a creative-minded business owner and a family photographer who I serve, this episode is for you because you're going to want to take lots of notes. But before I begin, I am going to let Megan introduce herself to my audience. Megan, this is an interview I've been looking forward to having you on, and I know that my audience is going to really love this specific system we're talking about.
Yeah, it's going to be great and so much fun. Hi guys, my name's Megan. I teach you how to travel and vacation for practically free using credit card travel points, and we'll get into the whole system of how that works. But I was just really tired of barely taking one vacation every single year, and I was pregnant at the time and really just wanted to be able to show my daughter the world and make memories with her on family vacations. And so I learned the credit card points system and learned how to basically use the system to my advantage. And now we are able to take 7 vacations every single year, and we saved over $30,000 on our travel last year in 2025. And we are already on track to do almost more than that this year.
That is incredible. And y'all, I found Megan or discovered Megan through another person's podcast like 2 years ago. I was listening into Boss Project podcast with Abigail, and she had interviewed Megan. And you all know I am a big fan of Abigail's, and I'd been on her podcast previously too. And so I was like, who is this Megan? And what is she talking about? Like creating a system for like travel and how to travel more. I want to listen into this. I really got into it. I started immediately learning from you, Megan. And I was like, I have got to have her on my podcast because I know I have a lot of family photographers who are running their businesses. And I really think a huge benefit of like having our business is to like, we should enjoy our time with our loved ones, our whys behind our business. And one way to do that is through vacations, through traveling, through intentional traveling. And that could have the stigma of like, well, that's a lot of money. Like I can't afford a luxury like trip. How do I do that? And so I've been learning this system very slowly from Megan, which we were like talking about that earlier, but I've been learning this from Megan. And so I really want you all to learn how like you can create a system for yourself, like essentially with your credit card points to operate, obviously, your family photography business, but then how do you use those points for travel to like impact your loved ones. So this is what we're going to talk about. And again, I'm so excited. So you had like very briefly touched on like introduce yourself, who you are, who you serve. But here is what I want to know. What is the actual system behind this? Like, I think most people hear like travel hacking and imagine spreadsheets and complicated math and having to have their computer open all the time to look for the best deals and a wall of sticky notes. So I want you to walk us through like how this can be a repeatable process for us and like just like how to get started in this. I know this is a very loaded question.
I know. We could go on for hours.
Yeah.
And it's actually not that complicated of a system. I am not a spreadsheet girl. I don't like Excel spreadsheets. I'm type B. So I always say if I can do this, anyone can do this. But starting out, I just want to make it super simple for you. I don't want to overcomplicate it. Yes, the farther you get in, the more points you earn. There's different kinds, all of that stuff. But really, it's as simple as stop using your debit card. Don't use your cash. Use a strategic credit card. And there's lots of them out there. My favorite one to start with is Chase Bank. So both personal and business, there's a Chase Sapphire Preferred Card. Great for beginners. For personal, it's $95 annual fee. And it's a great way to get your foot in the door. And then Chase has a lot of Inc. business credit cards for you, for your business, that are $0 annual fees that are going to get you so many points just from the stuff you're already buying. I mean, if you're a photographer, you're buying camera equipment, you're buying all the systems in the background, you're paying for, Riverside where we're recording this podcast, like all of those things, you're paying for that anyway. Why not earn free money off of that, which would then allow you to take a vacation? And I love that you're saying, like, as business owners, we work so hard, we put so much into our business, we are successful, but then when we go to pay for that vacation, it's expensive. It's $5,000 to $10,000 to take a family just to Hawaii or something. And even if you can afford that, you're looking at it and you're like, do I really want to spend that money that way? Or should I put it maybe back towards my business or put it into the house because we're refurnishing something, or, all those things. And so to be able to just not even worry about if the trip costs $10,000 because you're going to take that trip for less than $100. I mean, it's so worth it. And so to be able to just say yes to those opportunities is great. But the actual system itself is put everything on a credit card. Gas, groceries, all your business expenses, pay your credit card off in full every single month. We're not accumulating any debt, any interest, late fees, nothing like that. We're being super responsible. I have no credit card debt and I have 13 credit cards in my wallet, which we'll touch on that here in a second. But it's just being really strategic with the system that they give you. Credit card companies want your business. They want you to open a credit card because, to be honest, most people aren't using them the right way. And they're, like we said, racking up debt and paying the credit card companies. But when you do it strategically, you're going to earn a lot of free points. And so what the credit card companies do to incentivize you to open is they say, hey, when you open up my credit card, if you spend, let's say, $4,000 in the first 3 months, every little bonus is different, but typically it's around $4,000 in 3 months, we're going to give you a really large chunk of points, like 50 to 100,000 points. So I don't have to spend very much money to get a huge chunk of points that usually can pay for an entire vacation with one credit card sign-up bonus, versus someone who maybe just puts everything on one credit card all year long. At the end of the year, they're sitting at with maybe 100,000 points from all the money, $40,000 of what they spent, versus someone like me, which I teach, is opening up a new credit card every 3 or 4 months and getting those sign-up bonuses. I have 1,000,000 points at the end of the year versus someone who put money on just one credit card all year. So there's really a strategy to it, but that's what allows us to take so many vacations.
So listeners, viewers, I want to back it up. Like, let's take several steps back. So Megan hit on a really important point. Like, first of all, she's not encouraging anyone to go into debt. She's not encouraging anyone to just like sign up for credit cards blindly and not really know your overhead expenses. I think like the very first step for you is to know how much your operating costs are for your family photography business or your creative business. Again, I'm talking to a lot of family photographers. And so what are your overhead expenses every single month that it takes to run your business? And here's a plugin for my bookkeeping template for creatives. I will like literally link it below. It is my system that my husband, I created for me several years ago so that I could know what my overhead expenses were for family photography. And so I know how to pay myself. And I started sharing that with other creatives and they loved it. And now it is the best seller in my shop because it's literally, it's literally a system for like all of your expenses every single month. And then what your incoming categories of like who's paying you and like what categories are, how much to take out in taxes. And then you know exactly like to the penny how much you're going to owe in taxes every month, and then how much you're actually paying yourself, and then how much your expenses are every single month. And so again, that is available in my shop. But when I knew that, I then was able to make a better informed decision with Megan, like, okay, what is the best credit card to start with? Because I knew going in, like, okay, this is an example. There are some months where my overhead is, let's say, $1,000 a month because I'm renting studios, I'm renting equipment, I am paying for contractors, I had to update my lenses, like something like that happens. And so I knew all of these projected costs going into the year. Like I love making sure that I know what my expenses are at the beginning of every year. I assess it every quarter. Sometimes I assess it every month so that I know how much to pay myself every month. Anyways, that's another YouTube video and another conversation in itself. But I was able to confidently then know like what credit card to open up and then how to accumulate those points. And so I want to encourage you, viewer, to start there. Start knowing what your business expenses are before you jump into this credit card system. There's my plug.
That's really important because, like I said, there's different sign up bonuses.
Yeah.
So if your business is running, say, $2,000 a month, you could easily open the card that you have to spend $4,000 in 3 months versus like you have to spend $30,000 in 3 months. There's some bigger business credit cards. Don't go opening that if you can't reach that. And we don't want to spend money that we weren't going to spend anyway just to get a free sign up bonus. So really knowing the cards that are suited for you personally and business wise is really important.
And I want to also touch base on this, listeners. Like, this is a nugget that Megan shared on her podcast. She has her own podcast. I will link it below. But she shared that if you know when you have to make a big business purchase for yourself, like let's say you have to have, like, we all know that camera equipment is very expensive. And I even bought mine used and it was like $3,000. So I should have used that time to then like use it on a credit card because I had saved up that money and I should have used a credit card for that. But that was past Dolly. Now new Dolly knows. But yeah, so I just want to encourage you, listener, like if you know you have big expenses coming up for your business, you've saved up already, don't pay in cash. Like, you can pay off the credit card, obviously, with what you've saved, but this is your opportunity to like create a better system for yourself.
Percent. Yeah. Anything I can pay a credit card, I will. And I will gladly even pay like the credit card fees, sometimes that 2%, just because if I am getting a sign up bonus, I'm getting $2,000 to $3,000 worth of a vacation out of it. I'll gladly pay that small little fee.
I love that. So, okay. So I'm going to jump into a next question for you. Yet you've mentioned a stat before that 70% of people have credit card points sitting there that they've never used. So for the family photographer listening who just realized she or he might be one of those people, what is the very first thing that we should do today, and not next month, but today? And you all, this is where I will throw myself under the bus. I forget about I have been learning from Megan, and then I'll be like, okay, I have all these points and now I need to like either open up another credit card or I need to know what to do with these points. And then I forget because life happens. And so this is why part of me, this is a very selfish podcast interview for me so that Megan can like have a therapy session with me, but also like there is a system to where you can still be on top of your points and know what to do from here on out, even when life's you, which is me. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I see so many, especially business owners who they're like, oh yeah, I have a Capital One credit card. And I'm like, oh, okay, how many points do you have? They've never checked. They log in and they have 500,000 Capital One miles. Wow. They're sitting there. Like, it happens all the time because we forget. And honestly, too, the banks, they want your business. They want you to get the credit card, but they don't want you to use your points. And they strategically make it difficult for the user to know how to use the points. And they try to direct you to what they call their travel portal. And so this is basically like Expedia, but they call it, Chase Travel Portal, Capital One Travel Portal. And that's where you get the least value out of your points and or cashing out your points, which I see a lot of people do because it just says, here, cash out your points. We'll send you a check or whatever. And they make it easy. But that's where you get the least amount of value out of them. And so I love to see people transfer their points out. And this can look like transferring them to hotels and airline partners like Hyatt Hotels, Hilton, Southwest Airlines, all of those. And that's where you're going to double to triple the value of your points. And I want you to know, like, if you are sitting with points in your account, it's just like cash. The value of $1 has decreased every single year. The same thing happens with our points. So the more you sit there and you're thinking, oh, well, I'm just earning more points and they're sitting there, they're actually losing value the longer they sit in your accounts. Don't go years without using them. I kind of like the fact that Dolly just has a bunch of points though, because when she's like, hey, I'm ready to go to Nashville, let's book a trip, she can book it like on the spot and we can find a hotel and flights and book it. So that's like one way a lot of my students, they just like spontaneous travel. But for the person who's like, I know that I want to go on a spring break vacation in 2027 this week to Costa Rica. we can start building that credit card strategy now for the points that you need for that specific trip. So there's kind of two ways you can go about it, but don't let your points sit there. Just book a vacation, use them, because they're losing value every single day.
You all, that point was for me. That point was definitely for me. Okay, so Megan, you know this, that I like to break down marketing systems on this podcast. I teach about marketing workflows, like SOPs. So if someone were building a travel point system from scratch, what would be the phases? Because I like to break down marketing as an ecosystem in phases. So let's talk about the actual phases of like setting up a travel point system.
Yeah. So definitely we're going to start with that beginner card, like the Chase Sapphire Preferred. If you don't have anything in your wallet, or maybe you have a Capital One card, get a Chase Sapphire Preferred and put that in your wallet. Start using that. Once you get comfortable with paying it off every single month, you don't have to open up a new credit card as soon as you hit that sign up bonus. Get comfortable with paying it off, seeing the points in your account until you are ready to open that next card. We don't have to jump in full fire. Let's just use that card for a while. Second thing is going to be download the Travel Freely app. This is what's going to keep you organized. This is literally the only tool that I use to make sure that I stay on track of my annual fees, all the cards that I have. It will track all the fees that I have every single year that I'm paying, when it's due, like literally keeps everything in there. It doesn't hook to your bank account. It's a free app and it just has all your credit cards, and they sort it by personal cards and each business that you have. So me and my husband have 3 businesses between the two of us. So we have like lots of different cards for different businesses. So it keeps me really, really organized. So open that card, start using it, download the Travel Freely app, get used to that. Then I would just say book your first trip before you like keep accumulating all of these points. Book that first trip, see that it actually works, have the proof, see that you could take a trip for $5 a person. And then after that, you'll be hooked to keep repeating that system over and over again.
I love that. Can you speak to the family photographer, the creative business owner who might be like, they might be married or they might not be married or they don't have a partner, or so what about that solo business owner? Like how can they still achieve like these amazing vacations? Because I know you speak to those people as well. I don't want listeners to be like, oh, I have to have a husband that does like has a business, like because my husband doesn't have a business, y'all. Like I am the business owner in the I'm the big risk taker in our marriage, and I have 2 sides to my business, but my husband does not have a business. So I do the system for my business, like I accumulate points for my business.
Yeah. And I was the same way. Like, so I've been on both sides of the coin. When I first started this, my husband had a horrible credit score and we couldn't even get him approved for a credit card. So like for a long time, it was just me earning the points. Now he's built it up. But like for a long time, it was just me. And I was like, how am I supposed to teach people how to do this if like you can't even get a credit card? But no, this is literally for anyone. So I want to share a story. There's a girl in our membership. Her name's Dara. She's single. She lives with her parents actually. And she came to me and she was like, I only spend like $15,000 a year. She's like, I don't spend a lot. I don't have a rent, nothing like that. She's like, do you really think I could do that? And I said, I really think you can, because like I said, there are credit cards out there for everyone. My sister's kind of in the same boat. She's single. So she signs up for cards that are like, spend $1,000 in 3 months and get points. Or there's one where she only had to buy one thing. So she went and bought like a pack of gum and she got plane tickets to come see me. Like there's literally cards out there for everyone. So Dara signed up, and within 2 months of joining the Travel Points Academy, she had enough points that she booked flights to Ireland and Germany and had points left over for another trip. So literally anyone can do this. Yes, if you have a spouse, you can double the amount of points that you're getting, and it's going to be super strategic. But if you don't have a spouse or you don't have a husband who's maybe on board right away and you need to prove it to him, you can absolutely do this all by yourself.
Gotcha. So listeners, don't make excuses for yourself, because these are literal excuses I made for myself for so long. And for those of you who are OG listeners, OG watchers, you know that my husband and we paid off all of our debt within like 19 months of being married. Like that, when we got married, our goal was, let's pay off all of our student loans, AKA Dolly student loans, because my husband did not have any loans. It was all me. And we paid it off over like the course of being married for the first 18 months. And that was so freeing. And then that helped me look at money in a new way. Like, how can I like have a better relationship with money? And so because of that, that helped give me a little bit more confidence to like step into credit cards. So I was terrified of opening credit cards, you all, terrified. But like learning from Megan has been very helpful for me.
Yeah, it's
My little
honestly
credit
just a
card therapist.
right? It's just that perspective shift of like the system's there for you to use it. It's
Mhm,
essentially, like I say, every time you swipe your debit card, you're just not getting anything other than the thing you bought. But when you swipe a credit card, they're literally giving you free money. So why
mhm.
not utilize the system?
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so I'm gonna get really selfish here for a second, and I'm gonna have listeners listen to my own, like, I don't know, like, coaching call with you. So Megan has this group, and I'm a part of it. It's a monthly membership where she answers questions about traveling and travel points. And the last several ones, I haven't been able to make them due to like life, doctor's appointments, whatever. And so I'm like, I'm going to ask Megan these questions right now. It's not like she can run away from me.
Right?
So I, um, and I also think my listeners are going to love like the tactileness and like the taking action because I love examples. So I, obviously, my sons don't listen to my podcast, they don't have access to the internet, but I really want to surprise my youngest son, well, both of them, to Universal Studios in December. My son is Jack is going to be turning 4 in December. Him and his brother are obsessed with the Super Mario universe.
Yes.
Like, love that. They've been like Mario and Luigi, they're brothers and they're brothers, and they just love it so much. So I was like, what if we could go to Universal Studios, like his birthday's December, like 2 days after Christmas. And so I'm like, what if we can go after Christmas, just like for a few days? What would that look like? But then if I just feel stuck, I'm like, well, I don't know what credit card to open. I've opened up one or two, but then I get stuck because I'm like, I don't want to open up any more credit cards, but then I always pay them off. But this is where I
Right?
am, Megan. This is
Yes.
who I am.
That's okay. We'll work with it. You have points currently right now, right?
Yes.
So what do you
Yeah.
have?
I looked it up right before this. I have over 107,000 points with the Chase.
Okay.
Yes. And then that's all I have so far. And I think I have like 23,000 with Southwest, but
No Capital One miles then?
no.
Okay. And are you guys wanting to stay like on property?
I'd like to make it as easy as possible for us, like the four of us, to just be there, and for the boys to, they are obsessed with hotels. So for the hotel experience to be great, for us not to pay hardly anything, and for my husband to see like, wow, this is possible. Like we don't have to pay for anything besides food. Like I essentially, because it's like there's also, this is just reality, like going to parks is expensive,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
man, it's a money drain. And we're like, would we rather go to a park or would we rather go towards our college savings? And we're always like that's like always. So I
Yeah.
just want to know if it's possible to go take a family trip as a family of four during the holidays, especially.
Yeah. No, definitely possible. So since you already had all those Chase points, we would probably just look at like a Hyatt or a Marriott hotel that was pretty close by. If you stayed at Hyatt, it would be $0. You wouldn't have to pay anything for the hotel. So since we already have those points, that's probably what I would do. And then maybe use a few of those towards Southwest to book your flights. Do you guys have the companion pass?
That was the part that confused me. So I had saved up enough. I qualified for a certain bonus with Southwest, and then they started talking about the companion pass. I was like, what does this even mean? I don't know. I'm not going to do this.
No worries. We'll work on that this winter when the time comes
Okay.
again. Don't worry. So what I would do next then would be we've got our hotels covered. We've got part of our flights covered. We would open up a Capital One Venture card. They actually have a really great offer right now with the Capital One Venture Business credit card also. And that would essentially get you the points you need to pay for your tickets to go to Universal. So we would
Wow.
have our tickets covered, we'd have our hotel covered, and then maybe open up a Southwest credit card to add to those points to get your flights covered. And you guys are in Tennessee, so you guys are really close to Florida. So we could get some very, very cheap flights. It wouldn't take very many points for you guys. So honestly, it would be just opening up 2 more credit cards probably for that trip. Anytime you're going to go to theme parks like Disney or Universal, it's going to cost a lot more points because you're not just doing flights and hotels. You're trying to get points for tickets too. So just for someone listening where you're like, oh my God, she has to open all these cards for like this one trip. It costs a lot more than if you were just to go to like Hawaii or just go to Florida to go to the beach or something. There's a little bit more strategy with the theme parks, but you absolutely can cover your tickets, your hotel, and your flights. And like you said, then all you have to pay for is your food.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I just like want listeners to hear like this is possible. Give another example for a family photographer who might be listening and they want to go to a conference.
Mm-hmm.
But like the location, they have to pay for the airplane and then they have to pay for their hotel for the conference and then they have to pay for the conference ticket. Education
Yes.
adds up for like, I don't care like what industry you're in. If you
Mm-hmm.
want to like continue to like be the best of the best, you have to like continue to have ongoing education. And
Yes.
so that's something that I'm learning like, oh, if there are conferences I want to go to, how can I create a system with my credit card points for this?
Yeah. So I have a great example because I just got back from a conference in Florida like a month ago. So at the end of April, there was a conference I've actually been wanting to go to for 2 years now. The tickets were $600 to the event alone. Then, yeah, you're looking at, I mean, if I would have paid for everything, I think it was $2,500 total for flights and the hotel because it was like really nice event. The hotel was right on the beach. So they had like this beachy vibe. So you're paying for a hotel on the beach, which is expensive. I'm flying all the way across the country because I live in New Mexico for flights. So I used Southwest points. I got a really good deal. I flew me and my daughter because she came with me to the event. So she got a beach vacation out of it. We flew from New Mexico to Florida for $22 and I think it was like 40 cents total. I used my points and it was a hotel that wasn't like a Hyatt or a Marriott. So I couldn't use my points the way I normally would have. So I used my Capital One points to erase that. All I had to pay for was parking at the hotel, completely free. And so really all I had to pay for was the event ticket to go. And it was nice. I was able to take my daughter. She had a beach vacation while I was at the event. I just got asked to speak at an event in Alabama in October. So I'll be using my Chase points to pay for my flights and my hotel there. So literally going to cost me again like $11 to fly to Alabama and be able to go speak. And so like all these events, like you said, it takes a lot to keep a business going, to have education, to network. If you're asked to be on like in-person podcasts, all those things, it costs money. And so instead of having to think, okay, how much is this going to cost me? What's the ROI on this? Is it going to be worth it? You can just say, yeah, I can go because I know I have the points to go on a trip and make it free and it will be worth my time.
That is so good. Out of curiosity, what conference was it that you went to?
Yeah, so it was Power Table Live. The host of it is Taylor. I can't think of her last name right now, but Taylor. She puts it on every April in like Pensacola area, Florida. There was like 200 women in this room.
Wow.
They had some amazing speakers, but it was a really good networking event. Like I went back with so many connections. And that's where I got the opportunity to speak in Alabama. I got asked to be on different podcasts. And so just being able to say yes to that kind of stuff, it was a really, really great event. So I highly recommend anyone. I don't think there was any family photographers there. There was a lot of like VAs, OBMs, that kind of stuff. So it would be a really great networking place for you guys.
Gotcha. That's good to know. So family photographers, creatives, like think about like right now, I want you to like do a little homework right now and think through what is a conference that you would love to go to that you dream about? Like, is it a posing conference or is it a newborn and family photography in-person workshop experience that you really want to learn from? Because like Megan and I are sharing, like you also have to consider the ticket costs, the flight to that location, where you're going to stay, and even like Uber costs, Lyft costs. And so you need to like factor in all of that. And that high ticket can cause you to like take a step back and be like, it's not worth it. I'll just DIY like my learning or I'll like learn in some way. But no, like sometimes going in person to events, like those are the game changers that can help you move the needle of your business. I know for me, if my first conference I went to for photography was Show It. I know they're no longer a photography conference just for photographers, but Show It 19. And that unlocked so many possibilities for me. So again, I know this isn't a podcast, YouTube video about going to in-person events, but this is an encouragement to you,
Yes.
like for higher education for your business. Okay, I know we've been just like, I've been yapping and yapping and talking your ear off, but like, what is the unsexy part of managing travel points that nobody talks about? Like, I know that the back end system through Travel Freely is something that you mentioned, which I will link below in the notes, because that's like, you had mentioned the sentence, if you are like type B personality, so you're able to organize it for yourself. So like, talk about that, because that also is an objection for a lot of creatives.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you first get started, it's fairly easy when you're only juggling like 1, 2, 3 credit cards. You have that Travel Freely, you kind of get used to it. But honestly, like the unsexy part is when you get into it later on. So 2, 3 years down the road, when you have 13 credit cards in your wallet. My husband has 13 credit cards. He literally has no idea how this works. He doesn't even have like the logins to his account. So I'm managing basically 30 credit cards. So that starts to get to be a lot. I have everything on auto pay, so I don't have to worry about it. Like very responsible with our accounts and everything. But then when you're starting to think, okay, how do I earn more points? A lot of these cards you can open up every 24 months to get the sign up bonus again. There's like a lot of different things. And so once you get to that level, it's a lot of, okay, like a lot more strategy of which credit cards do I close? Which ones should I reopen? How do we get more of these points? And so it's just a lot of like, my wheels are always spinning on like, which card should we get next, to the point where I sometimes, like my students, I honestly think the biggest question in the group is, what card should I open up next? Everyone's always, what card's next? Here's where I want to go. What card's next? And that is for me even a thing. Like I get so much decision fatigue, especially when there's like elevated offers all across the board. It's like, do I go for that one? Do I go for that one? And then I sit there for a month and I don't pick one because I don't know. So I just wanted to put that out there because everyone's always like, I don't know what card to open. And they think it's just them. And it's me too. Like everyone does that. And sometimes you just got to like pull the bucket and just do one. You're not going to make a mistake. Like you're not going to pick the wrong card. Yeah. I would rather you earn points, and we'll figure it out later down the road, because you're always going to be able to use the points some way, somehow.
Gotcha. No, that's really good encouragement. So, okay, so if a photographer is listening to this right now and they're like, okay, I'm in, but I literally have 15 minutes or 20 minutes a week to dedicate to this. Like, I'm raising my hand at this. Is that enough? What does a realistic low time commitment version of the system look like?
Yeah, you do not have to spend hours. That is literally why I made the membership, because you don't need to know which cards to open. You don't need to know the bank rules. Like that's my job to do all of that research. So if you come in, like all you have to say is, Megan, which card should I open up? Once you have the points, you say, okay, I want to go to Universal Studios. Like, what do I need to do? And I will help you. Like I answer all those questions. So I don't want you to overthink it. Again, like just open the card, start using the points, start using your card, make it really simple. And then when you have the points and you're ready, I'll help you make that trip possible.
Yeah, that's very true. Okay. As we wrap up then, like, can you talk more about your membership, how a person can work with you and all that stuff? Because like when I learned about you on Abigail's podcast, I was like, how can I meet Megan and like connect with her and learn from her? So I want you to talk more about your membership and Travel Points Academy.
Yeah. So if you are like brand new, maybe you only have one credit card or you don't have any, and this is like a whole new concept to you, that's what the Travel Points Academy is. It walks you through literally opening a credit card, filling out an application, all of that stuff, to booking your first trip. So that program will help you book and plan your first trip for free within 3 months. So most students take their first trip in 3 months. If you are like, I have credit cards, I have a bunch of points, but I have no idea how to use the points, then that's really where the membership comes into play. And we're actually like planning and booking vacations, looking up flights, building out your credit card strategy from there on out. And when you come into the academy, you actually get 3 free months. in the membership just to see what it's like. So that way, if you want to stick around once you have the points, you can. But those are really the two containers. It's a great group of women. I love having Dolly in there, and planning the trips is like the fun part. So when she's like, let's go to Universal, I'm like, okay. And I like start looking up hotels for her. Like, that is the most fun part for me in that membership. And everyone sharing where they're going and sharing the pictures of taking their kids to Niagara Falls for 1 cent and flying to Tokyo to take care of her grandbaby. Like, there's so many cool things happening in that membership.
Do you have to say, I did. Like, I took my family to upstate New York through
You
points.
did? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. You said Niagara Falls. I was like, I did that. That was me. Yeah, of course I forgot. Of course. You all, my brain. Yeah. So I have been like doing this point system for a little over a year now. And I knew that fall break. So every year, like, think about through this too, viewer. If you have a family, like if you have little ones, if you have kids in school, think about like you're gonna want to do something with them for fall break, spring break, sometimes summer break, sometimes winter break. Like, those are opportunities for family travel if you're able to do that. And don't just assume like, oh, I'm gonna have to save up like $5,000 to $10,000 each vacation to be intentional with like, no, like literally I developed a plan with Megan, and we like after that plan, like my husband and I sat down, we're like, let's go to upstate New York because one, it's fall, it's beautiful there. And our flights were covered. And for a family of 4, that's huge. And so we were so excited. And then my husband likes to stay in Airbnb. So I know that there is like a certain system for Airbnb. So near the tail end, we stayed at a hotel, and that I was able to cover that too. So I was really excited about that.
That's awesome. And I wanted to mention too, you were talking about like picking to save money for your kids' college fund or like going on the trip. So a lot of my students, I want to share, they still have like a travel fund that they put money into, but they don't have to use their travel fund anymore. So what they have done is put it into like a high yield savings account, and then they can put it like towards their kids' college fund or whatever. Wow. And so like all that money that you would have been putting towards travel, you could save up for something else and put it towards something. So it's really like a wealth builder in the backside also.
I love that so much. And again, like, let me like bring it back to the beginning, viewers. Like, it all starts with you knowing what your overhead expenses are and you having like a system for the numbers of your business. Because if there's no system for that and you're just like spending money blindly, then this is not gonna, maybe this is a harsh reality, but this is not going to be successful for you. You really have to know where your money is going.
Yes. 100%.
So, well, Megan, thank you so much for your time, for your words of wisdom. And did you share with listeners how they can find you and follow you? Did you share that already?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Yeah, you can follow me I'm most active on Instagram at Points to Paradise. That's also the name of my podcast, Points to Paradise. And you can find the links for credit cards, freebies, all those things over there. But send me a DM if you listen to this. I love always hearing from people. Tell me if you have credit cards or where you want to go, and we can build you out like a little mini game plan in the DMs.
And y'all, seriously, Megan is the real deal. And I hope that you will take her up on like getting her freebie. I'll put her freebie in here as well. Hey, can you talk about your freebie as well?
Yeah.
For the listeners? Okay.
Yeah. So I actually have 2 of them. So one is for the beginner. Let's just say you're like, I really want to go to Hawaii. I don't have any points. Like, how do I make this happen? You answer a couple questions, say where you want to go, and it will tell you which credit cards you should open based on the trip you want to take. And then the other one is if you do have points, you can put in all the points that you have, and it will tell you where you could take your trip and how much money your points are worth when you use them the right way. So they're both really fun, very personalized to you and your plan, and it will generate you a plan.
I think I only have links for one of them, so I'll get the other link from you because I know my listeners will want to eat that up and learn more about this. So as always, thank you again for listening all the way through, for watching all the way through. I know this was a very unique episode and different episode, but I just really would love for you, the listener, the viewer, to think of a new system for your money and like how to use it creatively so that you can spend more time with your loved ones on those dream vacations and those fun weekend trips. So until then, I will see you all next week with a brand new YouTube episode and podcast. Until then, stay streamlined and magical, you amazing muggle you, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.